All right, guys. So reaction time. I got to walk you through Trump reacting to his own shooting, which, by the way, it's kind of interesting what's happened since then, like his reaction to it. Honestly, it's not what I would have predicted. We're also going to talk about Biden, Obama. I'll throw some other political figures in there for you. But let's start with this. So, as you all know, immediately after the shooting, Biden came out and did a little bit of commentary, released a short statement. He did it in like press conference form. And, basically condemned political violence, said there's no place for anything like this in America. And of course, let me just point out the massive irony. The number of times he's condemned political violence since the Trump shooting is through the roof. But of course, when they say we condemn political violence, he does not mean the carpet bombing of Palestinian babies, which is happening with U.S. bombs and U.S. weapons on a daily basis. He grandfathers that in. Like, it's fine to massacre babies and starve Gaza to death. That's fine. But political violence domestically, that he's very uncomfortable with. Okay. So having said that, since the shooting, and he called Trump on the phone, they talked. Apparently it was short, but it was good, etc. Biden has given 3 separate speeches since Trump got shot. So again, in the immediate aftermath, quick press conference. Then the next day in like the early afternoon, gave a press conference again, or did some commentary and walked out. He didn't take any questions. And then he did an Oval Office address at 8 o'clock at night. Now, before I show you this, let me just tell you, this is an Oval Office address, and it was pre-recorded. This is pre-recorded. And you're going to see how it went, okay? So I'm going to speed it up to 1.25 times speed so we can get through it, but just know, obviously on normal speed, he sounds like Joe Biden now, right? It's very meandering and wandering and, low voice and old man-ish, right? But anyway, let's jump into it and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we're fellow Americans. We must stand together. Yesterday's shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania calls on all of us to take a step back, take stock of where we are, how we go forward from here. Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured.
Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured.
Thankfully, former Trump is not seriously injured.
Guys, this was pre-recorded and on a teleprompter. Former Trump. Okay, all right, maybe I'm being an asshole. Maybe I'm the one who's the asshole, but let's keep going. By the way, now, all the pressure is off Biden. The Democrats were mounting pressure to try to get him to step down so the Democrats could have a chance at beating Trump. Now, all that pressure, poof, gone. Because the entire national story changed from Biden's really old, he should maybe step down, he's not up to this. Overnight, it changed from that to, hey, Trump just got shot. And it's understandable that the national story changed that. Of course it's going to change that, right? That's going to supersede anything that was happening before, of course. But all the Democrats lost their will to fight or try to push him out or try to talk some sense into him.
He's doing well, and Jill and I keep him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victims who was killed. Corey was a husband, a father, a volunteer firefighter, a hero, sheltering his family from those bullets. We should all hold his family and all those injured in our prayers. Earlier today, I spoke about an ongoing investigation. We do not know the motive of the shooter yet. We don't know his opinions or affiliations. We don't know whether he had help or support or if he communicated with anyone else. Law enforcement professionals, as I speak, are investigating those questions. Tonight, I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer, whether it's with members of Congress of both parties being targeted and shot, or a violent mob attacking the Capitol on January 6th, or a brutal attack on the spouse of former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, or information and intimidation on election officials, or the kidnapping plot against the sitting governor, or an attempted assassination.
There was extensive reporting from legitimate outlets that was literally an FBI thing. Oh my God, all right.
On Donald Trump. There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements, The stakes in this election are enormously high. I've said it many times that the choice in this election we make in this election is going to shape the future of America and the world for decades to come. I believe that with all my soul. I know that millions of my fellow Americans believe it as well. And some have a different view as to the direction our country should take. Disagreement is inevitable in American democracy. It's part of human nature. But politics must never be a literal battlefield, and God forbid, a killing field. I believe politics ought to be an arena for peaceful debate, to pursue justice, to make decisions guided by the Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. We stand for an America, not of extremism and fury, but of decency and grace. All of us now face the time of testing as the election approaches. And the higher the stakes, the more fervent the passions become. This places an added burden on each of us to ensure that no matter how strong our convictions, we must never descend into violence. The Republican convention will start tomorrow. I have no doubt they'll criticize my record and offer their own vision for this country. I'll be traveling this week making the case for our record and the vision, my vision of the country, our vision. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets.
He said battle box twice. He was trying to say ballot box, and he said battle box twice. This was pre-recorded and on a teleprompter.
You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. We resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of a would-be assassin. You know, the path forward through competing visions of the campaign should always be resolved peacefully, not through acts of violence. You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to think about it. What's made America so special?
Oh, he almost said make America great again, right? Am I wrong? Did you hear that?
You know, we're blessed to live in the greatest country on earth, and I believe that with every soul, every power of my being. So tonight, I'm asking every American to recommit, to think about it. What's made America so special? Here in America.
Oh, he almost said make America great again, then he tried to course correct. This was pre-recorded and on a teleprompter. Okay. Look, I'll just put it real simple for you, and then we'll move on to other reactions. But he came out and spoke 3 times. Why did he come out and speak 3 times since Trump got shot? He's trying to sound vibrant. He's trying to sound with it. He's trying to be on top of it. He's trying to change the narrative to like, oh, look, he's a great unifier and he cares deeply. By the way, the Democrats have since unilaterally disarmed. They stopped running all ads against Trump. Now Democrats are getting attacked for the most normal, banal, standard Democratic rhetoric, where they go after Trump for being an authoritarian or a dictator or fascist or whatever. Now that's apparently out of bounds, and they're walking away from that. And again, Democrats are pulling all the ads, etc. But he comes out and gives this speech. I'm not kidding. 3 separate speeches, all to seem like he's on top of it. And the message coming out of every speech is, murder is bad. Oh, well, thank you, Joe. Because we were all, we were all struggling with that. We weren't sure. Hey, is murder bad? I forgot until Joe Biden came out 3 times within 2 days to tell me it indeed is bad. And political violence is bad. Unless, of course, it's in Iraq, it's in Afghanistan, it's the drone war, it's all the arming and funding of Gaza. In that situation, violence, that's different. That's fine over there. It's just over here. It's bad over here, right? Okay, so that's Joe Biden's reaction. This was Barack Obama the day of. There's absolutely no place for political violence in our democracy, although we don't yet know exactly what happened. We should all be relieved that former President Trump wasn't seriously hurt and use this moment to recommit ourselves to civility and respect in our politics. Michelle and I are wishing him a quick recovery. So this was Trump's initial reaction after he got shot. The very first thing he posted, I want to thank the U.S. Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with the bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong, in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America. Okay, there's just another interesting point here that Trump made. He said, the immigration statistics chart saved his life. Quote, That chart that I was going over saved my life, he told his former White House doctor, Ronnie Jackson. If I hadn't pointed at that chart and turned my head to look at it, that bullet would have hit me right in the head. Wow. He also said in a different interview, like, I shouldn't even be here now. I could have died. So it seems like he actually has, like, he's actually digested the fact that he could have died, right? He says, "Thank you to everyone for your thoughts and prayers yesterday, as it was God alone who prevented the unthinkable from happening. We will fear not, but instead remain resilient in our faith and defiant in the face of wickedness. Our love goes out to the other victims and their families. We pray for the recovery of those who were wounded and hold in our hearts the memory of the citizen who was so horribly killed. In this moment, it is more important than ever that we stand united and show our true character as Americans, remaining strong and determined and not allowing evil to win. I truly love our country and love you all and look forward to speaking to our great nation this week from Wisconsin." By the way, they considered changing a schedule for him to come to Wisconsin to the RNC 2 days later. Then Trump came out and scrapped that and said, "No, I'm going. I'm not letting this shooter change anything," right? I got to be honest, this tone that I've never heard Trump talk like this, ever. Ever. I've never heard him talk like this, not once. Doing the whole, like, unity and love and let's come together. And I never in a million years would have thought a shooting would bring this out of him. I would always assume, hey, if somebody tries to shoot Trump, what's he going to do? He's going to go out there and say, war. And in fact, in the moment, and when he got up, after he was shot at and it hit his ear, he puts his fist up and he said, fight, fight, fight. And now he's out there like, hey, man, like, God saved me. This is divine intervention, and I'm all about love. I'm all about unity. Apparently, he rewrote his entire RNC speech after the shooting, and he tried to change the tone of the speech. I guess we'll see what it's really like when he delivers it. But let me give you this one. This is Washington Post. "Trump was spiritual about shooting," says person who spoke to former president. A person who spoke to Trump in the last 12 hours said he was almost spiritual about the situation, and that's totally not normal for him. He thinks he was handed a gift from God. He can't believe it. The person said that Trump is telling his team that they need to do unity at the convention. The convention now becomes more about his courage and his resilience. They want speakers to dial it down, not dial it up. The Democrats are so cooked. Trump was already up in all the polls, right? And then he survives an assassination attempt, puts his fist up as the blood is dripping down his face, and then comes out afterwards and is acting, again, his actions and time will prove whether or not it's real, but he's acting like, I'm a changed man, I'm all about love, I'm all about unity, I'm going to bring this country together. Like, okay, that is literally the one area where the public looks at Biden and goes, oh, he's better at that than Trump. Trump is very divisive. Trump's kind of extreme, right? Now, Trump is outflanking Biden on like the one thing where Biden always takes the cake. Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. So again, we'll see what happens with time. It could, it's like that. You remember that few episodes in The Sopranos where after it's either after Tony got shot or whatever, something happens to Tony, and then he feels like he has a new lease on life, and he's happy. He stops. He smells the roses. And how long does that last? Everything becomes the new normal eventually, right? You always revert back to homeostasis, and homeostasis for him is like ranting about savage immigrants, right? So when will that happen? Will that happen? I guess we'll all find out together, but for this moment now, he's acting totally, totally different. And then I guess I think I'll finish with this one here. This was Cornel West's reaction. "As a Christian, I pray for Brother Trump and his precious family. As presidential candidates, we all must renounce any language and acts of hatred and violence against anyone, including black people, immigrants, Palestinians, Jews, Muslims. # truth, justice, love." So, yeah, some people are saying on Twitter, I just wanted to point this out. Some people are saying on Twitter, like, there's a contradiction from the Democrats, because the Democrats say Trump's a fascist, Trump's an authoritarian, Trump's a dictator or a wannabe dictator. And then in the next breath, they're like, and I hope he has a speedy recovery, right? And people are saying, well, that's a contradiction, right? I don't agree that it's a contradiction. I don't agree at all. Because it's possible to have, like, ironclad moral principles, and one of your ironclad moral principles should be no offensive violence. The only time it's okay to do violence is in direct self-defense, right? And in that instance, Trump was giving a speech. Yeah, he says dumb things, idiotic things, vile things, things that policy-wise are abhorrent, of course. That's a day that ends in Y. But he wasn't in the midst of pointing a gun at the person who shot him, right? It's not like that guy was defending himself, right? So any sort of offensive violence is unacceptable. Now, of course, people bring up, well, what about like Hitler? Yeah, in the context of a war against Adolf Hitler, yeah, it's a war. And you have a green light to go after every Nazi soldier that there is. And that is, by definition, defensive because they started it, right? But when you, like, what? So what are we supposed to think it's okay to violently assassinate every single politician we disagree with? And then it's like, well, okay, how big does the disagreement have to be in order for you to assassinate them and feel okay about it? If you disagree with, like, let's say 75% of the things they say, is that acceptable to kill them? What about 42% of what they say? Where's the line where you say, that person, it's okay for me to murder? No, if you're on the left, you know, your approach to this has to be the same as like when we say, oh, it doesn't matter if somebody gets sick, they deserve healthcare, full stop. I don't care about what their ideology is, what their policy preferences are. I don't care if they're a despicable person or they're a racist or they're a criminal. Like, I don't care about any of that. People deserve healthcare, period. By the same token, people deserve not to be murdered in an offensive and aggressive way. Like, only violence I'm okay with is defensive. And this was not defensive. It just wasn't. You can try to pretend like it's not, right? So I don't see a contradiction. Now, I will say, I do think the Democrats have gone too far in that direction when they say, now we're not going to run any ads against Trump at all. We're going to unilaterally disarm. Now we're not allowed to talk about our policy disagreements with him at all. No, that's fucking stupid, right? It's stupid. That's just stupid. You can still, yes, you got shot. You shouldn't have gotten shot. I'm against murder and attempted murder, but that doesn't mean that I'm okay with you when you say, I want to suspend the Constitution, or I'm going to be a dictator on day one, or I'm going to do more tax cuts for the rich, right? Or I'm going to deregulate corporations. You know, and unfortunately, Democrats go too far in that direction, right? But I don't think it's a contradiction to say, you know, Trump's an authoritarian, Trump's a wannabe fascist, wannabe dictator, and look, I hope he recovers. I don't think that's a contradiction at all. And also you have the issue of, you know, domestically, how do we solve our problems? You have to be able to coexist with people who don't agree with you. Because if you can't, then you don't have a country. You have total anarchy and extremism and savagery and all of our problems being solved with violence. And believe me, you don't want to live in that country, right? You don't. So anyway, that's my long spiel on that. So I'll save it for another segment, but now we're going to get to all the conspiracies, and boy, oh boy, is this a fun one. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.